Okay, so picture this scenario. You've spent months, maybe even a year, getting a rental property just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the cool mid-century modern furniture. The Wi-Fi is, fiber optic fast. You even hired a professional photographer, so the place looks like it's straight out of a magazine.
The whole 9 yards.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You launch the listing, you sit back, maybe crack open a drink, and you just wait for that chotch notification from the app.
And instead,
Nothing. Crickets.
yeah.
The calendar is just Swiss cheese. It's half empty. You might get a weekend booking here and there, but it's totally inconsistent.
Right.
And the immediate reaction, and I think we've all been there, is to just spiral. You start thinking, what's wrong with my house? Do I need different pillows? Is my cleaning fee $5 too high?
You start microanalyzing the product. It's the classic trap. You assume the house is the problem.
But the deep dive we're getting into today suggests that actually the problem isn't the property at all. It's the whole business model.
Specifically, it's that reliance on just waiting for guests to find you.
And that is the hook for today's deep dive. We're looking at a really fascinating shift in mindset, moving from being a passive host who just relies on apps like Airbnb or VRBO to becoming a proactive rental business owner.
It sounds like a subtle difference just in the language, but when you look at the source material we're pulling from, specifically insights from Jorge Garcia of Roadmap Lodging, it's a massive difference in strategy.
Yeah.
Garcia actually calls this getting off the Airbnb hamster wheel.
I love that image, the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Just running and running, tweaking your price by dollar, changing your main photo, just hoping the algorithm blesses you today.
Exactly. If the algorithm changes, your income changes. You're basically working for the algorithm. So Garcia's approach is all about taking back control.
Okay.
We've got 5 specific marketing strategies to unpack today, and the mission here is to figure out how you can build a reliable, cash-flowing business where you generate your own leads instead of just hoping for an app notification.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I think a lot of people listening might feel like, hey, I'm just a host. I have one condo. I'm not some marketing guru. But the first strategy Garcia outlines is surprisingly fundamental. It's about the foundation.
Right. Credibility through branding.
Now, stop me if I'm wrong, but when I hear branding for a rental, my first thought is, okay, do I really need a logo for my one-bedroom apartment? Is that what we're talking about? Just making it look pretty.
Well, that's the common misconception. Garcia points out that to get booked like a business, you have to look like a business. But it's not about vanity. It's really about the psychology of trust.
The psychology of trust.
Yeah, to think about the user experience. If you're scrolling through a generic listing site, everything just kind of blurs together, right?
Totally. It's just bedroom A, bedroom B, apartment C. A sea of gray sofas and white walls.
Exactly. Garcia emphasizes that you need an identity. So yes, a name, and yes, a logo, but also a consistent voice and look across everything you do. Because here's the key part. It's not about design for the sake of art. It is about risk reduction for the guest.
Risk reduction. That's an interesting way to put it.
Well, think about it. If I book on a major platform, I have insurance, I have customer support, there's a dispute center. If I book directly with you, which is the goal here, right, to get direct bookings, I'm taking a risk.
Yeah.
I'm sending my money to a complete stranger on the internet.
That's a huge hurdle. I need to know you aren't just going to take my deposit and ghost me.
Precisely. Trust is the currency of direct bookings. Garcia argues that when a potential guest lands on your site or sees your social profile, they need to feel instantly, this host is professional, they're established, I can trust them.
Okay.
If you look like a hobbyist, people will treat you like one. They'll haggle, they'll break the rules. But if you look like a brand, they treat you like a business.
That makes so much sense. It's the difference between staying in, like, Dave's spare room versus staying at the Harborview Suites.
Yeah.
Even if it's the exact same room, the brand changes my perception of the value and the safety.
And that perception lets you control the relationship. You're not just a commodity anymore. You're an actual entity. You have standing.
Okay, so we establish a brand. We pick a name that isn't just cozy downtown apt. Get a logo, but a brand needs a home, right? It can't just live in the ether. Which leads us to the second strategy, what Garcia calls the digital storefront.
Yes, the website.
Now, I can hear people tensing up already. I don't know how to code. I don't want to hire a developer for $5,000. Is this really a non-negotiable? Can't I just have an Instagram page and call it a day?
You can, but you probably shouldn't. Garcia is really clear here. We need to debunk the myth that this has to be some complicated thing.
Okay.
He says your website isn't a luxury. It is your digital storefront. And it doesn't need to be Amazon.com with a bunch of complex features. It just needs to be functional.
So what are the non-negotiables? What does this storefront actually need to do? Because I've seen some really terrible direct booking sites that look like they were built in 1999.
Simplicity is key. It needs your photos, the good high-rise ones you already paid for. It needs the property details. But most importantly, it needs a clear call to action.
Mm-hmm.
And Garcia specifically suggests phrasing this as request housing today.
Request housing. That's interesting. It's not book vacation. It sounds more serious.
It does, doesn't it? It implies a service. It implies you're solving a problem for someone. And just having that home base creates a place you can send people to that's all yours.
Yeah, you're not competing with 10 other listings on the sidebar.
Exactly. When they're on your website, they're only looking at your product.
But let's talk about the tech for a second. If I have a website, how do I stop myself from getting a double booking? If someone books on Airbnb at the same time someone requests housing on my site,
That's a great practical question. And this is where you'd usually integrate a simple property management software, a PMS, or even just use an iCal link to sync your calendars. It's automated.
got it.
But the point Garcia is making isn't really about the tech stack. It's about ownership. If you don't have a website, you don't have a business, you have a profile on someone else's business.
Ouch. That's a tough pill to swallow, but it's true. It's like building a house on rented land.
Exactly. If the platform shuts you down tomorrow and you don't have a website or an email list, you are instantly out of business.
But here's the catch, and this is where I think it gets really interesting. You can have the most beautiful website in the world, but if nobody knows the URL, it's like opening a store in the middle of a desert.
Which brings us to the third strategy. And Garcia calls this one a game changer. And honestly, in the world of SEO, it kind of is.
Google Business Profile.
Yes, it used to be called Google My Business. And it is shocking how many rental hosts just overlook this because they think, oh, that's for pizza shops or dentists.
Right. I think of it for finding a dry cleaner, not a furnished apartment.
But that is exactly why it's such an opportunity. The competition is low. Garcia points out this is the simplest way to get seen locally without paying for ads.
Yeah.
You list your business. Remember, you have a brand name now. You add your phone number, your website, your photos.
But wait, I have a concern here. Privacy. A lot of hosts list on Airbnb specifically because their address is hidden until someone books. If I put my property on Google Maps, isn't my exact address just out there for everyone?
That is the number one fear. But Google actually has a solution for this. You can set yourself up as a service area business.
Oh.
You don't have to put the pin on your exact front door. You can just say you serve downtown Austin or the greater Seattle area.
Oh, that's huge. So I can show up in search results without giving away the gate code to the entire internet.
Exactly. And think about the search intent here. Garcia mentions the phrase, furnished rentals near me. When someone types that into Google, if you're only on Airbnb, you're just hoping Airbnb's own SEO is good enough to show your specific listing, which is buried deep inside their site. But if you have a Google business profile, you show up in the map pack, those 3 listings right at the top of the search results.
You literally put yourself on the map before Airbnb.
Literally. And it validates your business's existence. If I search for your brand name and I see a Google profile with a location, a phone number, maybe a review or two, my trust level skyrockets. I know you're not a scam.
That is such a good point. It's like a free background check for your business. And it's free.
Completely free. It is low-hanging fruit that so many hosts miss. It validates you exist in the real world, not just inside an app.
Okay, so we have the brand, we have the website, we're on Google Maps. Now we need to get the word out even more. Let's talk about the billboards.
Ah, yes. Social media.
Now, I have to be honest. When I hear social media marketing for a rental, I immediately picture having to do, like, trending dances on TikTok. I just don't want to point at text bubbles in the air. And Garcia addresses this hesitation, right?
He does. And his reassurance is very grounding. He says explicitly, you do not need to be an influencer. You do not need to dance. You just need to show up.
Just show up. I like that.
Yeah.
That takes the pressure off. But what does showing up actually look like if I'm not chasing trends?
He frames every post as a billboard for your business. You aren't trying to be famous. You're just trying to be visible. And he breaks down the platform strategically because not all billboards should say the same thing.
Right. Let's look at that breakdown. He mentions Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And they serve very different purposes. Let's start with Instagram.
Instagram is your visual brochure. Garcia suggests focusing on lifestyle shots, This appeals to the vacation mindset, the aesthetic, the whole vibe of the city.
Okay, so that's the pretty sunset from the balcony or the perfectly brewed coffee on the counter. The aspirational stuff.
Correct. It's about imagine yourself here, but then you have LinkedIn. And this is the critical pivot for business owners that Garcia really highlights.
LinkedIn for a rental.
Yeah.
That feels dry. I don't go to LinkedIn to book a getaway.
You don't go there for a getaway, you go there for business. And if you're thinking like a host, LinkedIn makes no sense. But if you're thinking like a business owner, it's a goldmine. Garcia says this is where you talk to corporate travelers and relocation managers. You aren't posting sunsets, you're posting about reliable Wi-Fi, dedicated workspace, and monthly rates.
That is a light bulb moment. You are fishing where the fish are. If you want corporate bookings, you go to the corporate hangout.
Yep.
So what do I actually type into the search bar on LinkedIn? How do I find these people?
You look for titles like relocation specialist, travel manager, or even HR director at companies in your city. You connect with them, and you don't spam them. You just say, hi, I run a boutique furnished rental agency in town. If you ever have employees needing a place to land, I'd love to be a resource.
That's professional. It's not desperate. It's just offering a solution.
Precisely. And then finally, he does mention TikTok, but again, not for dancing. He suggests using it for quick behind-the-scenes clips to show authenticity.
Authenticity is the key word there. It proves the place is real and you're a real person managing it.
Yes. You walk through the neighborhood, you show how to use the coffee machine, you show the cleaning crew prepping the unit. It's about documentation, not performance.
I love that distinction. Documentation, not performance.
Yeah.
That makes it so much more achievable for the average person. You're just showing what's already happening.
It really does. It lowers the barrier to entry significantly.
Okay, so we're building this digital presence. But Garcia's final strategy? This one feels like the heavy hitter. This is where we move away from the internet entirely. He calls it the best marketing channel.
The holy grail.
B2B referral networks.
This is where you truly leave the hamster wheel behind. This is the pivot from business to consumer, waiting for a tourist to business.
So who are we talking about here? Who are these partners? Because B2B sounds very abstract.
Garcia lists specific industries that have a constant bleeding need for housing. He points to local hospitals, construction companies, insurance adjusters, realtors, and relocation teams.
Let's break down the logic here. Why these specific groups? Why a hospital?
Well, think about the staffing crisis in healthcare. A hospital relies on traveling nurses or visiting specialists. These people come for like 13-week contracts.
Right.
They can't sign a year-long lease, but they don't want to live in a hotel for 3 months eating takeout.
Right. They need a kitchen, they need laundry, they need a home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same with construction. Project managers fly in to oversee a new high-rise or a highway expansion. That's a 6-month contract. And then you have the insurance sector. This is a massive niche.
Insurance adjusters, you mean for like after a disaster?
Yes. It's called ALE, additional living expenses. When a family's house floods or burns down, their insurance policy pays for their temporary housing. The insurance adjuster is the one writing the check. They need to place that family somewhere immediately.
Oh, wow. So these aren't people looking for a vacation. They need a solution to a housing crisis.
Exactly. And that is why this strategy is so powerful. These people are the gatekeepers. If you are the go-to person for the HR director at the local hospital or the preferred vendor for a local insurance adjuster,
You're set. You don't need Airbnb. You have a constant stream of guests.
Garcia notes that when they know your name, you get repeat bookings year-round without running a single ad. You just answer the phone.
That stabilizes cash flow in a way tourism just can't, right?
Absolutely. Tourism is seasonal. It's weather dependent. It's economy dependent. If a recession hits, people stop taking vacations. But a construction project, that goes on. An insurance claim. Pipes burst in the winter and houses catch fire in the summer. Disasters happen year-round. By tearing into B2B networks, you are insulating your business from the swings of the travel market.
It changes the dynamic completely. You aren't selling a getaway anymore. You're selling infrastructure. You're selling a headache-free solution for a relocation manager who just wants to get this file off their desk.
And that is why the trust and branding we talked about at the beginning are so crucial. An insurance adjuster isn't going to send a displaced family to some random, unverified listing they found on a generic app. They have a duty of care. They want to send them to a professional business they know and they trust.
It all connects. That's the aha moment. The brand creates the trust. The website validates the business. Google puts you on the map so they can find you. Social media keeps you visible. And then the B2B network. converts that credibility into consistent, high-value contracts.
It's a cohesive ecosystem. You're not just throwing spaghetti at the wall. It's a real funnel.
So let's zoom out for a second. We've gone through these 5 strategies: branding, website, Google, social media, and B2B networks. What does this actually look like for the listener who's sitting there right now, maybe looking at their Airbnb app and sighing at the lack of bookings? Because this sounds like a lot of work.
It looks like work initially, let's be honest. Setting this up does take effort. You have to build the site, you have to make the calls. But Garcia's message is really one of empowerment. He says, you don't need fancy funnels or viral videos, you just need a strategy.
It's front-loaded effort for long-term gain.
Right. Once you have these pillars in place, you are in control. You stop waking up and checking your phone to see if the algorithm blessed you today. You have a pipeline. You have relationships. You have a business that stands on its own 2 feet.
That freedom.
Yeah.
That is really what we're talking about here. It's not just about money, it's about autonomy.
It is independence. The source material puts it perfectly. When you have a brand, a website, and a referral network, you're not waiting on Airbnb anymore. You use Airbnb as a lead source, sure, but you don't rely on it to eat.
And that is a powerful place to be. It transforms you from a gig worker into a CEO.
That's the shift.
So if we synthesize this for our listener, you start today, what's the one thing they should do immediately?
Start with the low-hanging fruit. Google Business Profile. Do that today. It takes 20 minutes. Then think about your brand. What's your story? Are you for nurses? Are you for families? Then reach out to one local realtor. Just one. Say, hey, I have a furnished place if you have clients in between homes.
It's those small steps that build the bridge off the platform. You don't have to do it all overnight.
Exactly. Brick by brick.
This has been such a clarifying discussion. It really takes the mystery out of direct bookings. It's not magic. It's just standard business practices applied to the rental world.
It's returning to the fundamentals of commerce: relationships, visibility, and trust.
I love that. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, we always like to leave you with something to chew on. We've talked about moving from host to business owner.
Right.
But here's a thought. If the ultimate goal is independence from platforms, and the holy grail is these B2B connections, at what point does your rental business actually stop being about the real estate?
That is the question.
At what point does it become a relationship business where the actual property is secondary to the trust you've built with local industry leaders? Because if a hospital trusts you, the person, they'll book whatever you have. You could lease other properties just to fill their need.
You become the solution, not the building. The asset isn't the house anymore. The asset is the relationship.
Exactly. Something to think about as you look at your calendar today. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.